Very provocative. Genetic engineering. Very provocative. The manipulation of genes to produce new kinds of plants or animals, or to alter what already exists. The discovery in the 1970s of not of DNA itself, but of the ability to shift DNA from a frog to a bacteria made people aware, made scientists aware, and the rest of us aware that genetic engineering, through genetic engineering, we can create more than nature can. As the article points out, in nature, only two creatures from the same species can reproduce. But in the lab, we can reproduce. An elephant and a parakeet can reproduce. Their DNA can be combined, in theory at least. The first focus of the article, though the article shifts from it to other things, is the possibility of designer babies. That is, my wife and I go to a scientist, say, basically we, so to speak, mail order our baby. We want him to be tall, blonde, extremely intelligent, the cheerful gene, not the gloomy gene, please, charismatic, and so forth. And the scientist can produce this baby. Healthy, of course. Athletic, of course. Yes, good. No obesity, please. No baldness, please. A sexual athlete, please. You see how absurd this is. But enough of us are absurd enough to want this kind of thing to some degree that it's a little bit scary. If we know that by genes we can control whether our baby will be cheerful, sanguine, or gloomy, morose, introspective, moody, irritable, of course we'll choose the longer gene rather than the shorter gene that produces this behavior. Now, some problems are there are between 30,000 and 40,000 genes in the body, apparently the human body. And scientists don't know how the combination of these genes work, because if we multiply these combinations, we get a number that is so vast, it's unimaginable. And one supposes that it would take centuries to figure out all the possible permutations and combinations and what these might signify. Of course, only the wealthy have access to technology like this. And if the wealthy produce this technology and decide to produce those tall, blonde, or whatever athletic geniuses, long-lived too, the world eventually will fall into two classes: those, the master race, let's say, and the inferiors, the subservient. That's where this is going. That's where it could go, at least anyway. One wonders, though. Genius is a slippery word. I want my son to be a genius. No one quite knows what genius is. That is, intelligence, yes, but intelligence isn't genius, and genius is produced by many things, and I doubt very much that our scientists can produce genius. Intelligence is a slippery thing too, because there are various kinds of intelligence. For example, moral intelligence, spiritual intelligence, practical intelligence, and so forth. We all know this. So I think all is not lost for the non-manipulated, because the non-manipulated, hatred, for example, is a kind of genius. Hatred can produce a kind of genius. If we assume that the attack on the Twin Towers a few years ago was brilliantly conceived and executed, we would have to say that hatred can produce genius. And of course, we all know this in our lives, because sometimes when we're angriest or when we hate the most, we are the most brilliant in a diabolical way. Love is seldom brilliant. I can't believe that love is as brilliant as hatred. So this is a much more complex issue than we
Genetic engineering. 1. What is genetic engineering? What genetic discovery was made in the 1970s? 3. In what way is man more powerful than nature? 4. How can parents use this genetic manipulation? 5. What do scientists not know about genes? 6. Who has access to this technology? 7. What would happen if people exercised this technology? 8. Why is genius a slippery word? 9. In what sense is hatred a kind of genius? 10. What do you think of genetic engineering? Do you think you would ever manipulate your child's genes? If so, how? Do you think it should be illegal to manipulate someone's genetics?